With me today is Gina Prince Bryant. She is the CEO of Coastal Community and Teachers Credit Union. Thank you for joining me, Gina.
Well, thank you. I really appreciate being a part of this today. Thank you.
Absolutely. We're honored to have you. Of course, many of our viewers familiarize Coastal Community Teachers Credit Union with our favorite segments, our lunch local segments, which goes to show how much you're willing to support the community. Tell me what advice you have for people who are concerned with this financial aspect of COVID-19.
Well, the main thing that we want to tell individuals is just communicate with your creditors. You know, we all know that this is a major pandemic going on. Communicate, let them know what's happening in your life. You know, have you lost your job? Are you now on unemployment? There's multiple things that, you know, that can be done, but if you don't communicate or you ignore it, then that really does hurt you as an individual. And I always tell people, slow pay is better than no pay when it comes to your credit report. And so just keep that in mind too. Even if you have a little bump in the road, as long as you come back after this pandemic, your credit score is not going to take a huge hit, but it's when you ignore it is when it will take a big hit and stay with you for a number of years.
Absolutely. I think some people may get in that mentality of life is on pause. I have some money coming in from the government. I'll just put everything off till later, but it's going to hit even harder if you keep pushing back those deadlines and those payments, right?
That's correct. That's correct. So it's always better to kind of, you know, communicate, because we have some skip pays right now that we're giving individuals. And I know a lot of creditors are, you know, up to a couple months with no payments, up to 3 months possibly. And so again, just communicate with the creditor, and it's not just one creditor. Watch out for your credit cards and things like that, and make sure that you're keeping on top of those.
Absolutely. So you mentioned that is one service that you're able to offer your customers is extended time to pay. Now, when we do hit the end of this, when we finally feel like things are returning to normal, what does it look like for people that are having, you know, payment forgiveness or at least some sort of an extension? At the end of it, are we supposed to pay in one chunk payment, or is it something that we'll sort of be able to break down in the future?
Well, that's a great question to educate your viewers on, because of the fact that I've heard multiple things. So for example, in our case, we just added on to the end of the loan, even with a real estate loan. So if you get a 1 month or two, it just adds on to the end of the term. Now, I did hear, you know, there are some situations, especially on a mortgage loan, where they give you like a deferment. And so you miss 2 payments, but then they want you to pay that back in the next 6 months.
Mm-hmm.
So again, ask all those questions, because I mean, obviously when you come out of this, you're not going to be able to afford a payment and a half or two payments every month to catch you up. So ask them, is this going on to the end of my note, or am I going to have to catch this up before year end? Again, ask questions and use your resources. And we love to be a resource to anyone. You don't have to be a member or an account holder, but if you have questions, we're here to educate the community.
Absolutely. And it is so important for our viewers to realize, I think many people are discouraged by voicing themselves, by asking the questions, because they feel like, well, I should know this already, or they're going to think I'm not smart. It's so important to ask every question there is so that you can start making a plan for how to return to normal. I think what's really going to define us is when life does go back to what we remember as normal, but we're all trying to pick up the pieces of everything that became sort of broken as we experienced COVID-19.
And that is so true. You know, people, I know, talking about finances, some people are just very discouraged because they may be embarrassed or whatever. But, you know, there's been so many times people will say, oh, I have horrible credit. And then I look it up and I'm like, okay, well, what am I missing? Because your credit's not as bad as what you're making it out to. And let me tell you how you can fix it. And so the other thing is, I had someone the other day, don't go out and pay fix your credit places, because you know, that costs you money. You can fix your credit yourself. You just need to reach out again to your creditors and ask those questions, and then make sure you understand the answers. The individuals like us that sometimes are in that financial field, we start talking that language, and you know, people may not understand, and just stop them and ask them, well, what does that mean? And make it clear. Make it clear.
Definitely. Well, for anybody who's out there who would like to make it clear and possibly contact you, how can they get in touch with you, Gina?
Well, they can email me direct. I love, you know, I'll find a resource for you. If I don't know the answer, you can email me at gprince@ccatcu.com. And I'll be more than happy to find those resources, because again, our credit union is all about educating. If we can educate the community better, then we all do better.
Wonderful. Well, thank you, Gina, so much for your time, for sharing your expertise with us, and for doing everything you do to support local businesses, especially the restaurants, but just the community in general. We really appreciate you.
Well, thank you for the time, and y'all stay safe.
Absolutely. You too. Thank you.